Rap and media mogul Jay-Z, now accused of raping a 13-year-old girl, they're denying the claim and say that they are the victims of blackmail. A lawyer, Tony Buzbee, saying Jay-Z has, quote, tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff, but his conduct.
Buzbee would file a lawsuit against him with what he claims are false accusations.
Do you expect we are going to be seeing other celebrity names added and refiled in other lawsuits involving Diddy?
My response is pretty straightforward. No one has made any threats.
Diddy Combs has been amended to include Jay-Z as an accused perpetrator in a 2000 rape case involving a 13-year-old girl. The allegations stem from an after-party following the MTV Video Music Awards, where both men are accused of assaulting the girl. Needless say, tensions are rising, and people are hoping to see Jay-Z in jail beside Diddy.
We want to share with you some brand new developments we are learning in the Sean Diddy Combs investigations and civil lawsuits. We know this is an ongoing case against him, and now we are learning that one of the civil complaints that's been brought against Diddy has been amended. It's been amended. And so you may recall us talking about this case previously, and a case about a 13-year-old allegedly being raped by Diddy, allegedly being assaulted and raped by another male celebrity who was previously not identified. Now, that celebrity has been identified. He's been identified as fellow hip-hop mogul Jay-Z. His name has been revealed. The allegation is that he and Diddy raped a 13-year-old girl at an after party in the year 2000 after the MTV Video Music Awards.
Jay-Z countered by accusing attorney Tony Buzbee of extortion, suggesting the lawsuit is a blackmail attempt. His legal team is pushing for the plaintiff to reveal her identity, arguing it's necessary for a fair defense.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?" He added, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people." Joining us now, Joey Jackson, CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. There's a lot to unpack here. Joey, I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it, it's long, where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
So based on the allegations, Jessica, good morning, good to see you. I think that it certainly could be. Why do I say that?
Buzbee has already hinted at exposing more powerful individuals, making Jay-Z's inclusion somewhat anticipated. Jay-Z's attorneys claim that the anonymity of the plaintiff hampers their defense, and that revealing her identity is crucial for gathering evidence and witnesses. This move aligns with previous rulings in similar cases involving Diddy, where plaintiffs were required to disclose their identities.
Every other case, let's treat it like a civil case ought to be ought to be handled, and I think a judge is going to do that. I really do.
Let me ask you this. How would it even work, in your experience, with someone remaining anonymous, and let's say that identity is not revealed to either Jay-Z or his defense counsel? The first time they would know who this person is at trial, if that person testifies? I mean, how does it work preparing a defense if you don't know who the plaintiff is? How does it work?
Never had it happen, and I don't anticipate it's going to happen here. I think it becomes a timing issue. I think there'll be a certain period of time if a judge were to lean their way toward anonymity to at some point in time, there'd have to be a disclosure. There's going to have to be a public trial. This is not a child where, certain steps can be maintained to make anonymity complete throughout a trial. That will never happen here. There won't be initials here. I don't anticipate it happening. I just don't see how this comports with federal law in any way. And the ask that's been made by Mr. Buzbee, I think, is too big an ask for a court to grant.
Buzbee's approach includes public statements defending himself and his clients. However, legal experts like Ben Chu caution against litigating in the media.
It's standard and it's smart to give a potential defendant an opportunity to settle prior to filing a lawsuit, because at that point, the plaintiff would have kind of detonated the grenade and forced the defendant in a position where he almost has to fight. Whereas when you send a demand letter and say that you're interested to talk and settle the matter on a confidential basis, that is an appropriate standard thing to do, assuming that you have a legitimate claim. Where I think he's on weaker ground is where he is litigating this in the media and making statements defending himself. One of my mentors always told me, never defend yourself, defend your client, and always remember that you're representing yourself. And the only time you answer any allegations against yourself is when a judge is specifically asking you to.
The discussion also touched on the potential involvement of a cooperating witness, referred to as Celebrity B, who allegedly witnessed the assault. Chu noted that without clear legal incentives, Celebrity B might prefer to deny any involvement.
I believe you're referring to Celebrity B, this female celebrity who was in that room. Do you think this person has settled maybe her claims with Tony Buzbee? What do I mean by that? If she was present, I imagine that Tony Buzbee might have reached out to her and said, listen, I can file a lawsuit against you too because of you being there. You were present, you were a witness, maybe. Do you think that this is a person who maybe already settled her claim so that she would be a cooperating witness for Tony Buzbee's case? I mean, tell me how you think that might work.
That would be a brilliant move if that's what Buzbee did, because otherwise he is making really, the worst, the harshest kinds of allegations, and he's signing his name to it. I mean, he referred to his client vetting a demand letter. Well, sure, the client is supposed to vet the demand letter for in terms of the factual allegations, but the legal allegations, the legal import of that is in the province of the attorney. So you can't necessarily just hide behind your client. But were he to have made a deal with Celebrity B, that would really backstop both his client and himself in terms of his potential exposure.
Jay-Z's legal team filed an extortion lawsuit against Buzbee, alleging coercion and bad faith in the demand for a confidential mediation. They argue that Buzbee acted prematurely by making public statements before the deadline for a response.
Faced with the choice to either pay an exorbitant sum to silence plaintiff's wild, false allegations of sexual assault, risking irreparable harm to his reputation, family, career, and livelihood, or face a barrage of baseless lawsuits and financial ruin, Mr. Carter stood his ground. On November 18, 2024, Mr. Carter filed a complaint against attorney Buzbee and his law firm for his extortionate conduct. So a little bit what you said about the media, but what do you take about that version of events?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with Buzbee giving a deadline. You really have to give a deadline. Otherwise, there's no incentive for the potential defendant to ever respond. But what the problem in this scenario is that he didn't give the defendant the full benefit of the deadline. In other words, if you give somebody a deadline, respond by December 27th, you shouldn't say anything until December 27th, unless the defendant has already said, no, we're not going to pay, go ahead and file your lawsuit. So I think if you give somebody a deadline, I think you should honor it. You shouldn't act prematurely. If you go public prematurely, it's a badge of bad faith. Whether it is bad faith or not is open to question, but it's, I think if you've got to be true to your word. If you want to give him a deadline, let him have until the deadline.
The complexity of the case is further heightened by allegations from another woman who claims she was pressured by Buzbee's firm to make false statements.
Jay-Z's counsel filed a letter with the court saying that this woman called their offices, and she says that she had called Tony Buzbee's firm regarding allegations of sex trafficking and abuse, but she made it clear to them it had nothing to do with Sean Combs. She says, first, the firm representative asked her, when did you meet Diddy? And she reemphasized again, my claims aren't about him. She said that they encouraged her to proceed anonymously, even though she claims she didn't want to. They also allegedly discouraged her from contacting law enforcement, and she said she felt pressured to make false claims about being drugged, held down, physically assaulted, and she says when she refused to adopt that narrative, Buzbee's firm dropped her as a client. And the associate who spoke with this woman recounted this conversation in a sworn declaration with the court. Now, Jay-Z's firm says this is further evidence that Jane Doe, in Jay-Z's case, shouldn't be able to proceed anonymously, and that Jay-Z and his team have a right to thoroughly investigate and respond to these allegations. Now,
Chu also mentioned that Buzbee's approach could lead to a bar complaint rather than directly aiding Jay-Z's defense. He emphasized the importance of maintaining professional conduct and avoiding public statements that could lead to defamation suits.
I think it's potentially true, a real problem for Buzbee's firm. Not saying it's true, we have no idea, but I think it's a bar complaint issue rather than something that would help Jay-Z.
are we in dangerous territory of someone suing someone for defamation? Because Buzbee filed another letter with the court, and he said that the correspondence with the court from Jay-Z's side is nothing short of defamation, hiding behind the thinnest veneer of litigation privilege. Like, I know that there's accusations that are made between attorneys and between, you know, a defendant and a plaintiff, but are we in dangerous territory of defamation suit?
Yes, and lawyers have to understand. We've had this conversation before in other contexts. Lawyers have to understand that they're not immune from defamation liability. I mean, sure, when you're in court or you're you know, making a court filing, there is a qualified privilege and immunity there. But when you step out of the courtroom and you're making statements to the media, you are no more immune than anybody else. And this is where I think there's a conflation among certain attorneys, especially in high-profile matters, to forget themselves a little bit.
Jay-Z has publicly denied the allegations, questioning why the matter is being handled civilly rather than criminally. He stated on his social media account that his lawyer received a blackmail attempt from attorney Tony Buzbee, suggesting the allegations were a ploy to force a settlement.
All right, in the meantime here, I just want to put up this. This is on X, very lengthy statement from Roc Nation. This is Jay-Z's side of it. He says, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a quote-unquote lawyer named Tony Buzbee. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. He says, no, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. He says, these allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? He says these alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. He says this lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics here. So, wanted to just read in part.
In response to Jay-Z's statement, Tony Buzbee emphasized the seriousness of the matter, stating it would be litigated in court. This lawsuit also mentions a female celebrity allegedly witnessed the assault. The plaintiff, identified as Jane Doe, described being lured to the after-party by a limousine driver who claimed she fit Diddy's preference for younger girls. At the party, she observed widespread drug use and felt woozy after consuming a drink, leading to the alleged assaults by Diddy and Jay-Z.
The pleading speaks for itself. This is a very serious matter that will be litigated in court. Now, this is the same lawsuit that was filed in October, accusing Diddy and accusing another celebrity of working in conjunction with Diddy to rape a 13-year-old not identified in the complaint, just named only as Jane Doe. And they also allege in this suit that another female celebrity was there the whole time watching this happen. So basically, we've heard these allegations about Diddy, and we were wondering who these two other celebrities are. In the first suit, they were just named as Celebrity A male celebrity, and Celebrity B, a female. Female just said to be watching, but Celebrity B said to have been taking part in the assaultive behavior. So now that suit has been amended and Jay-Z's name has been filled in, his real name, Sean Carter. So now he's a defendant along with Diddy in this particular civil lawsuit.
Sonny Slaughter, a law enforcement expert and trial consultant, highlighted the importance of investigating these allegations thoroughly. She emphasized the need for criminal investigations rather than solely relying on civil litigation.
However, with all of the spotlight now on the other case, now tying this into this case, they might feel like there's more leverage and maybe they don't want to go to court and testify in a trial. However, I think it is the wrong thing to do at any place when we think that criminal charges against someone where there's an alleged victim that was a child, a minor at the time. I do not think that lawyers should take this tactic. I know they're defending their clients, but I do think that we need an investigation into this case. There is still the parents. We need to find out, where were the parents with this child? Who else did she tell? There's so many nuances that are not explained. I just don't think that we can say, okay, it's going to be a civil complaint, ignore the criminal charges. And like you said, we still have a 4-year window where charges could be filed, but we need to get to those first before we start talking about having a mediation.
Right. Excellent point, Sonny, as always.
The allegations detail how the plaintiff fought back, eventually escaping the party and contacting her father for help.
All of this went on. He has guards. You know, there would be guards, there would be limo drivers, there would be people, and she could make it out and run to the gas station.
The complaint asserts forcible compulsion, alleging that both Jay-Z and Combs held the accuser down and raped her. If these allegations hold true, they warrant a criminal investigation. Despite the incident occurring over 24 years ago, specific details in the complaint could support the investigation. These include the presence of another celebrity at the scene, a gas station attendant who observed the victim in distress, and a phone call made to her father, who subsequently retrieved her.
Mr. Combs did the same thing. And so if those facts are actually accurate, it would require an investigation by prosecutors. And if true, right, you could pursue it criminally. Now, with respect to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her in distress. Number three, that she phone called her dad, who showed up, the 13-year-old, and now removed her. So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and, you know, we'll see what happens, or if the DA looks and investigates.
So what happens now?
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact-finding, right?
The victim's attorney, Tony Buzbee, responded to Jay-Z's statement, asserting that Jay-Z has attempted to bully and harass both him and the plaintiff. Buzbee emphasized that the facts of the case would be revealed in court, not through media exchanges.
Who alleges Jay-Z sexually assaulted her as a minor. The letter was vetted and approved by our client, whose preference was to attempt resolution short of filing a lawsuit. This approach is common in these types of cases. What you're seeing played out now is a coordinated and desperate effort to focus the public's attention on me personally to avoid attention on the allegations being made by my clients. This effort has included harassing my family and colleagues and even offering former clients money to sue me, which is illegal. When an alleged perpetrator behaves in this manner, wildly asserting that a basic demand letter is extortion and aggressively using the media to attack the opposing lawyer while at the same time ignoring the allegations being made by the alleged victim, it reminds me of a famous line from Shakespeare: "The lady doth protest too much, methinks." We intend to address all of these issues with the court in due course. Let me be clear, we will not be bullied or intimidated by these shenanigans, and our clients won't be silenced. So you have two competing sides here.
Former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer also weighed in, noting that the detailed nature of the allegations could mean additional witnesses might corroborate or refute the claims. The specificity of the details, such as the description of the house and the presence of another woman, is significant. The amendment of the lawsuit to include Jay-Z, while unusual, is not unprecedented as new information surfaces during legal proceedings.
I think it's because Jay-Z came out so strongly and said, listen, I'm going to go after you. And then he filed a suit quickly on the heels of the other suit against Buzbee and the accusers. So because of that, you're seeing this taunting sort of back and forth in the media.
Do you believe that we may see Jay-Z face a judge? And if so, when would we see him in court? Any indication there yet?
Well, we're definitely going to see him, I believe, on this suit. There are so many details. You know, they describe a house, a driveway, another woman being there. They discuss about a driver taking her. So she's locked into this story now, and that means there could be additional witnesses to corroborate her story or refute the story.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned the specificity of the details really stand out to you in this filing. Do you find it strange that the filing originally did not include Jay-Z, just Diddy, and now Jay-Z is suddenly added today? I mean, does that make Jay-Z's addition in any way less credible, or is this not in fact so unusual?
It's not unusual when they're still digging up information and facts to prove the allegations that they're trying to make. In addition, remember, this 13-year-old says there's a female there. That has not been disclosed either. That will be very interesting because she could be culpable in this as well.
Coffindaffer also addressed the potential for more celebrities to be implicated as the case develops, given the interconnected nature of the individuals involved. The accusation of blackmail, she noted, stems from the offer to mediate the case, which Jay-Z perceived as extortion. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the stories that shape entertainment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.